popularly known as Gigi by her loyal followers.
And I'm larger, like I wanted to be larger than life. I wanted to be a title.
Her content is relatable, funny, and quirky.
If you resonate with it, you don't need to know my name. You just need to enjoy what I'm providing.
NewsX influencer A-List proudly recognizes that Indian chick for influence in relatable content creation. Hello and welcome. You're joining us on NewsX Influencer A-List. I'm Paradeep Bhanot, and joining us on the show today is that Indian chick. Now, she refuses to let us know her name, but she is Gigi for most of you out there that are watching this interview. Thank you so much, Gigi. I'm going to have to call you for being with us. And welcome to NewsX.
Thanks so much for having me. And so name has been something that people are so curious about. And I think half the people only watch me because they're just so curious.
Tell us, why not? Why is your
all the money that I make on the internet, whatever amount it is, 80% of it goes into cleaning my digital footprint so that no one ever finds out my name.
What are you scared of? Why
okay, so it's not like I'm not scared. It's just something that, for me, it was always about creating an online identity.
Yeah.
And I'm larger, like I wanted to be larger than life. I wanted to be a title. And as a kid, like I always wanted that, like a stage name. I would find stage names really cool and that mystery behind it. So part of it is the theatrics and the drama in me that is not making me reveal my name. And the second is, of course, privacy. I may not seem like it, but I'm a very private person. I'm very guarded about me and my family. And on the internet, like everything, like I said, everything has a digital footprint. If someone knows my name, they will know where I worked. They will know and there have been instances where I have spoken up about things and I have been people have found out where I've worked. So it was just a really scary situation. So I feel that if you like my content, if you resonate with it, you don't need to know my name. You just need to enjoy what I'm providing for you, and that's it.
And that Indian chick has worked out really well, right? Because that Indian chick or Gigi, there are people out there that recognize you by that name. So now you have like we were just discussing, you now have a social media alter ego, which is brilliant, right? Which is actually exactly what you wanted to create. So then tell me something, as far as your digital media journey is concerned, now in the past couple of months, you've grown exponentially. And you said that you've been working and you've been doing this for years now. Tell us everything that you've dabbled with a little bit.
I started in school when there was this whole British YouTuber craze going on, Ryan Higa and Alfie Days. And it was so fascinating for me because, exactly. So that whole world was really, because it was so out of my reach, it was really fascinating. And I've always wanted to be an entertainer. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I just loved making people laugh everywhere I went. So I thought that, okay, this is a great space for me to just put myself out there. And it started with that. It was nothing about audience building or money making or whatever. It was just a hobby and it was just something I really enjoyed doing. Then I came to college and I started, experimenting with theater in college. So that translated to, again, YouTube, where I started doing sketch comedy.
Yeah.
After that, I started working. So I started professionally working for a company where I had to make videos for them. So again, that changed. So because there I was supposed to review films, but I wasn't supposed to say anything bad about those really shitty films. And I was just dying to tell people that these movies are really bad. Yeah. So then I started taking out all that frustration on my channel and I started posting movie reviews, actual honest movie reviews on my channel. And that's how my content sort of kept evolving and now here I am.
So what is it like, now that there are so many young people that are in fact following you, that resonate with the kind of content that you put out? I'm sure, you go out into, let's say, markets and stuff and you're getting recognized. What do they yell out? That Indian chick, hello, what is it like?
Suddenly if I heard Gigi, I'm like, okay, this is not medieval Rajasthan. Nobody actually calls each other Gigi. So, so basically it was an inside joke where I used to refer to myself as Gigi Hadid in jokes. Yeah. And people took it very seriously. So they actually started calling me Gigi as in J-I-J-I, which is a term for sister. Yeah. In when you go to rural India, that's the term for sister. Yeah. And that's how I think I see myself. I see myself as that cool older sibling who gets you out of trouble and stands up for you and just tells you that it's okay, I'm here, I've been through the same thing, we're in this together.
And there's so many people that are giving you all that love back, right? What is it like to have all these people that are, commenting and that are, telling you that you're really hilarious and you've made their day and, they're saving your content? What is it like?
So, I have massive imposter syndrome. I think like a lot of women have this because we don't believe anything that happens to us, which is good. So in the beginning, when I was reading these comments and all, I was like, do they really, are they like, is there a prank going on? Are all of them just like taking my case? When something is so bad, then you like write like really nice things about it and then tag your friends. So there's an inside joke. I was like,
conspiracy.
Yeah, I was like, maybe it's a big inside joke that everyone secretly just laughs at me, but they're just like, oh, haha, you're so cool. But then when I started getting recognized in public and when people actually started coming up to me, I was just as starstruck as them. I was equally fascinated that they knew me.
So what is it like, getting called out in markets? What is, let's say your family, your mom or your dad or your elder siblings are out with you. What is their reaction?
I want them to be so that they know that I'm doing something important. Because till now they don't understand a professional. They're like, okay, she sits and does something. And she gets money. But what is that something? Like she's cracking jokes. It's not translating in the head. They're like, थकी हारी घर नहीं आ रही, इसको कोई बॉस की गालियां नहीं मिल रही, इसके पास मतलब क्या कर क्या रही है इसको, how is she doing all this? So when they see people and when they really realize that this is what I do for a living and this is how much people like me and how many people recognize me, I think for me that matters more.
Yeah. So very interesting, that you mentioned, because even my parents, it's the same. If I was making, let's say, reels, they wouldn't understand what I'm doing, right? They'd just be like, what is this? What is this making faces at the camera? Even if I'm, clicking a picture, they still say it. Why are you sitting and making faces at your phone?
Yeah.
What is the reaction like? And what do you tell them? What is it that you do on the internet?
So I tell them that I create content.
Yeah.
And like before this, I'm also a screenwriter. So for them, like a writer, still they understand. They're like, okay, she writes something that gets made into something and that gets her money. They understand. They're like, she says something on her phone, then who is paying her? So I had to explain to them what is branding, like audience, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Like what I do, how is that like great? How important is it having an audience? So they like for them like 1,20,000 is a big figure. They can't just understand how through one phone I'm reaching that many people. Yeah. So they are on social media, but with them it's just like Facebook, WhatsApp, and all. With influencers, it's like a whole different world.
Yeah, absolutely. And how long, okay, so, coming back to the entire conversation surrounding influencers, how long did it take you to monetize your content? Of course, 8 years you've been doing this, but in the last couple of months, you were just telling me that in the quarantine time, you actually gained so much traction. What has the growth been like, and how long did it take you then to monetize your content once you had that kind of engagement?
I have been extremely fortunate to have an agent who actually has been looking out for me like some sort of like a guardian angel, because in this market it's like people think we're kids, right? So whether it's an internship or whether it's this influencer marketing, a lot of people, they think that we like, because we're starting out and we don't know much. Like I didn't know much about this world. All I was doing was creating content. People think that when then they show you a figure which is like much less than what you deserve. But because for any random working person, that figure is a decent amount, they feel that the influencer should be happy with that. And that's how they sort of like refrain from like letting you understand the dynamics, because they need you more than you need them. And that takes some time to understand that in the beginning, if you say no to a few things, then in the longer run, you're gaining much more. Because if you say yes to lesser, like as an intern, if you agree for a paid internship, then that sets the precedent or the bar very low.
Yeah. And you also don't value yourself, right? You're never able to put the right value to your work in that way.
Absolutely.
You're just like, maybe this is what I deserve and maybe I should just, go with this.
Yeah, exactly. Like in my case, I was fortunate enough that I was working side by side. So I didn't really think about the money aspect. I thought more about value building. A lot of people, because they feel like, because they're like, this is their job. So they feel that they need to sort of sometimes let go of it. But that actually is not like a good thing in the longer run, because that sets the bar very low for you.
So, were you ever, approached by brands, and was it difficult for you to make those choices? Because initially, when you start out, be it any field, in fact, not just as an influencer, you don't know how much to dip your toe in the water and how much to not dip your toe. Did you face those kind of challenges initially?
I did, because then the thing is, then like if one brand comes and then you sort of think about what are your values, and then you figure out like how to align your value system with the brand's value system. Now, in my value system, there are things which are like strict no-nos. Like I am not going to promote fairness creams. I'm not going to promote like slimming teas. Like these are things which are a no-no for me, because I feel like they are to a point unethical, and to a point they're not okay, and they're like promoting harmful beauty standards and toxic beauty. So I think it just depends on like what is my value system. If I feel that the brand goes with, and of course, like there are times where I have like done a brand deal and I have realized in hindsight that, okay, this, I could have done this in a different way. So what I'm really like, I don't know, brands probably hate working with me for this, but I'm just really particular about the fact that I am writing my own content and you have no control over it. You tell me what you want and I will do it my way. You are not going to tell me how to do that, because I am the one who has a relationship with my audience. And I don't want your taglines or your, like in your face promotion to like, you don't pay me.
Also, because you are what your followers make you, right? Because it is the community that is building you up. So you have to think about the community and the message that you're sending out before you think of, let's say, a partnership. And I think that also comes with a certain privilege of, having something else to fall back on. What about those people, who don't have, or content creators that are just starting out, that want to do this full time, but don't have a plan B? What would your advice be to them?
So, I mean, like I was in two minds myself, because I had a job, right, when this started picking up, and there came a point where I knew I had to put everything into this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to go to that next level. So I decided to quit. So I feel like if you have the financial support or you have that backing, then take the plunge, because it's worth it. If you don't have that financial backing, then the best you can do is to be as consistent as you can. Meanwhile, having things that support you. Like this friend of mine, like he's also a content creator, Nick. So he's like, up until 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he had like 3 jobs. Like he was working 3 jobs, because he's like, that was my livelihood. So he was bartending. He was like, into events, I think. And then he was just also doing like gigs on the side, me all the while creating content. So he's like, till such time as I could afford the proper salary for each and every of my team members, I was working. So for me also, like this is not my only thing. I'm also a screenwriter. So I'm writing for a living. So it's never depend whether it's an influencer, whether you're a normal person with a job, never depend on one livelihood or one flow of income. Always have a side hustle.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us on the show. And it's been an absolute pleasure having you. And we look forward to the day when you let all of us get to know your true name. Being with us.
Thank you so much for having me and the great conversation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.